In the news at this hour, an out-of-control brush fire is taking a very heavy toll in the Southland at this hour. More than 500 firefighters are battling the flames in the Angeles National Forest, and those flames have already consumed over 1,000 acres. And a pilot on his first solo flight crashes in the San Fernando Valley.
The CHP cracked down on tour buses. A powerful earthquake rocks parts of Greece, causing lots of injuries and damage. And the Los Angeles Rams go up against their longtime rival in the NFC West.
Next on Eyewitness News.
Ever notice how something else? All the shrimp you want, just $5.99.
Hi, Larry Huffman for your California Jeep Eagle dealers. We're all dressed up for the great clearance of '88. 1988 broke all records for Jeep sales, so we're celebrating with blowout prices on every Jeep and Eagle vehicle in stock. Save big now on Cherokee. Get an amazing $1,950 savings on select Comanches. Get $750 cash back on Eagle Premier. $1,000 back on Eagle Medallion. Bargains on everything during the great clearance of '88. You don't see deals like those every day, do you, Wally?
The vice president of Cadbury, Schweppes, is sleeping on the job. The publisher of Cosmopolitan can barely keep his eyes open. In fact, some of the world's most successful business people are off in Never Never Land. And that's exactly where we want them. Because when it comes to business, Pan Am believes the more relaxed and rested you are up here, the better you'll do down there. Pan Am, the #1 airline to Europe, and more.
If you still haven't tasted a mouth-watering Subway sandwich, get ready. Our new 6-inch cold cut combo is just $1.69 at Subway.
#1 in Southern California. Channel 7, KABC TV, Los Angeles. Now, the Southland's leading news, Eyewitness News, at 6.
A number of Southland homes are being threatened at this hour as 2 major brush fires rage out of control in the Angeles National Forest. Good evening at 6 o'clock on this Sunday night. The first fire we are going to take a look at with a live shot right here is a fast-moving fire in the Sand Canyon area. So far, some 2,000 acres of brush have been destroyed. The blaze, which has been dubbed the Divide Fire, has been racing toward homes in the Santa Clarita Valley and in Sylmar for most of the afternoon. But no evacuations have been ordered just yet, and at this time there are no reports of any injuries. Some 500 firefighters from LA County and the U.S. Forest Service are battling the flames out there. Smoke from the 4.5-hour-old fire can be seen clear across the Southland this evening. Fire crews expected to be on the lines throughout the night. As you can see right there, it is in a very inaccessible area, but there are homes around there, and right now there are a number of flash crews, which means they are putting some 5 fire trucks at a time with 4 to 5 men crews around those hot spots trying to contain the fire before, in fact, it moves up into the Sylmar area and destroys some homes. Joanne.
And the firefighters being kept pretty busy in the Southland today. In fact, one U.S. Forest Service firefighter has reportedly been injured while battling a second blaze in the Angeles National Forest. The out-of-control fire in the San Gabriel Canyon area has scorched about 125 acres of brush along very steep terrain, but no structures, fortunately, are being threatened there. Fire officials say, of course, that the hot, dry conditions throughout the Southland are making matters very difficult for firefighters this evening, and we'll have the latest on all the fires tonight at 11 o'clock.
An Echo Park man has been fatally wounded by police today after he went on a drunken rampage, killing one of his neighbors and wounding 2 others. The LAPD says Jose Carreras stalked outside a duplex on North Benton Way, shooting into windows on all 4 sides of the building. About 15 people were inside the home at the time. When officers arrived at the scene, they spotted the suspect sitting in a pickup truck. A police sergeant says he fired 3 shots at the suspect as Carreras aimed a hunting rifle at him. The Echo Park man was transported to Queen of Angels Medical Center, where he died a short time later. 32-year-old Santos Chicas was killed by the gunman. A 23-year-old woman was critically wounded, and a 30-year-old man is listed in fair condition at this hour. Police say Carreras had been living in a converted garage behind the duplex for about 2 months. At this time, there is no known motive for that shooting spree, but the neighbors around there did say Carreras had a drinking problem. A student pilot on his first solo flight crashed his Piper Tomahawk airplane into an unoccupied building at Van Nuys Airport today. The aircraft was demolished, but the pilot escaped injury and was able to walk away from the accident scene. City fire officials say the pilot was practicing touch-and-go landings at the airport when the plane struck a tree and slammed into the building. An instructor says the student pilot apparently got confused during his flight maneuvers.
During a surprise roadside inspection in San Bernardino County today, the CHP pulled 12 tour buses off the road for safety violations. Our reporter Elaine Long has that story.
Tour bus drivers received quite a surprise as they drove to the San Manuel Indian Bingo Hall in San Bernardino County. The CHP stopped each bus and minivan to inspect them for safety violations. Drivers dropped off their passengers and officers inspected the buses from bumper to bumper. Many of them are only inspected annually.
We find all kinds of things here, mechanical violations, bad tires. We had a bus earlier, one of the vans, a 15-passenger van. The vehicle was quickly inspected because the driver did not have his driver's license with him. And then we found defective steering.
Officers cite drivers for minor violations, but put the buses out of service for major ones. Mauricio Alonso's 2 buses were put out of commission. One lacked air in the back brakes. The other had balding tires and excessive oil in the steering gearbox. Alonso says his buses checked out when he left Whittier with 50 passengers, and he says this is quite an inconvenience.
I gotta call to the mechanics to fix it. Today's Sunday, it's real hard to find. What can I do right now with my people? I gotta find another bus to carry these people to home, to the stop.
The CHP says these inspections may inconvenience drivers and the owners of these bus lines, but officers say it's necessary to avoid tragedy on the highways. In San Bernardino County, I'm Elaine Long, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
In rural Oregon, the investigation continues into the beating death of an 8-year-old Los Angeles youngster at a religious physical fitness camp. It was set up for Los Angeles inner-city youngsters. The victim was Dania Brouchard, daughter of the camp's founder, Eldridge Brouchard. Sheriff's deputies who went to the camp after the girl's death found 53 other youngsters there. They have now been placed in temporary protective custody. Some showed signs of abuse.
They found what appeared to be some old scars on these children's bodies. It appeared that they had been physically abused, at least some of them had been.
Willie Chambers and 3 other staff members have been charged in the girl's murder. 2 other camp workers have also been jailed. In the past, accusations of harsh physical discipline at the camp have been denied by Broussard. This weekend, a neighbor said he thinks the kids were scared.
We have heard no noise or no normal children's sounds coming from this place. What we think has happened is that there has been extreme discipline imposed upon the children to stay silent.
That camp was set up last year, and as we understand it, it's an offshoot of a Los Angeles area organization. Joy.
And coming up next here, a busy day for the presidential candidates. And in Pacific Palisades today, a rally against oil drilling off the California coast.
Red Carpet believes that we've been taking
Shrimp dinners skimp on the shrimp. Whale shrimp lovers, you've got 2 options. First, order a lot of their shrimp dinners. Or try Bob's Big Boy all-you-can-eat shrimp dinner for $5.99. With either option, you never run out of crispy fried shrimp. But at Bob's, you won't run out of something else. All the shrimp you want, just $5.99.
Campaigning in Boston today, Michael Dukakis acknowledged that he is the underdog in the race for president. But lashing back at GOP predictions of an easy Bush victory, Dukakis said that the Republicans want to put you to sleep. We are the ones, said Dukakis, who will be celebrating on election night. He also vowed not to walk away from the fight. And once again, he said that Bush did not stand up and say this is wrong concerning the Iran-Contra scandal.
George Bush was in Denver today, and at a news conference, he said he believes the Iran-Contra affair is behind him. He predicted that interest rates will go down if he's elected president, and he said he would balance the budget by 1992, but he didn't say where he would make spending cuts to bring down the deficit. If elected, he said Dan Quayle would be assigned to coordinate drug enforcement and would receive other important assignments. He said he would take a close look at environmental concerns before federal oil drilling projects are approved off the California coast. Meanwhile, Los Angeles voters are now being drawn into a heated debate over 2 onshore oil drilling initiatives. And as Maggie Cooper reports now, supporters of one ballot measure came out to the beach today to voice their concerns.
A bitter fight is being waged over this narrow strip of land along the Pacific Coast Highway north of Santa Monica, and it will be up to voters to proclaim a winner. Today, opponents of coastline oil drilling braved overcast skies at the beach to rally in support of Proposition O, a measure that would prohibit oil rigs at the Palisades site and elsewhere along the coast.
For years, they have manipulated EIRs and all those other sort of things to get what they want. And it's ridiculous because what's here, underneath here, is less than 2 days running of this country in terms of oil.
20 years ago, the city asked Occidental for its help.
Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been spent by each side in support of two opposing propositions dealing with coastline oil drilling. Prop P advocates claim that revenues generated from oil production at proposed sites would help to fund additional police, money for parks, and for toxic waste cleanup programs. Some politicians disagree and claim that advertising for Prop P is misleading.
Occidental Oil has been trying to masquerade as an environmentalist group. In fact, never did they even identify themselves as an oil company in their literature until we went to court and got a court to force them to come out of the closet and say who they really were, an oil company.
With the vast number of measures on the November ballot, propositions with ambiguous titles like O and P may confuse some voters. The coalition of groups here today support a ban on coastline drilling, and they say they're trying to clarify the fight. At Will Rogers Beach, this is Maggie Cooper, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
While George Bush and Michael Dukakis fill the airwaves and the newspapers, many of the propositions on the November ballot are struggling to receive any public attention at all. Our Steve Teichner is here now, hopefully, to correct that problem. Steve.
Well, Joanne, one set of initiatives that hasn't gotten lost in the crowd are the auto insurance initiatives. We've been hearing about them for months.
It's an old scam known as the bait and switch.
And with the money you had left over, you could buy yourself a couple of Rolls Royces.
All but one are imposters. All but one are bankrolled by insurance companies or lawyers.
But not all of the campaigns on behalf of propositions have been so visible. Supporters of Prop 97, which would restore Cal OSHA, the agency that inspects private sector workplaces, for safety violations, had hoped to raise $500,000 for television commercials. With about 3 weeks to go, they're over $100,000 short of that goal. So they continue to rely on news conferences to tell their story.
This is a life or death issue.
But our latest statewide survey finds that these news conferences aren't having much of an impact. 32% say as of today they're voting yes, basically the same as mid-September. 24% are voting no, 44% are undecided. Supporters of 95, the proposition that would fine health and food code violators and earmark the money for programs for the homeless, is in a similar situation. Without money for television commercials, they've been forced to rely on free media coverage of their spokesman. But our survey finds that without much visible opposition, 95 supporters aren't picking up support. 42%, 5 less than September, say they're voting yes. 15% are voting no. 43% are undecided. Prop 99 would raise the cigarette tax 25 cents and is another proposition whose supporters have little money. However, unlike other props, 99's opponents, the cigarette companies, do have money and are spending heavily on television commercial. So 99 supporters have taken to attacking the opponents' commercials, not their substance, but their presentation.
Thanks to a devious $20 million tobacco industry advertising campaign, Proposition 99 is no longer simple to understand.
Our survey finds that while 99's support hasn't increased, opposition to it has dropped. 46% now say they're voting yes, basically the same as September. 24% are voting no, a 9-point drop since September. Now, supporters of 95, 97, and 99 can probably survive getting lost in the crowd during the campaign. But given the size of the ballot, the real problem is how to avoid getting lost in the crowd on Election Day.
Well, that booklet that came with the sample ballot is about as large as I've ever seen.
It was heavy,
It's a #1 bestseller.
Yeah. All right, Stephen, thank you. Back to work. Yes, tomorrow is that day, and we will have the weather story for you on a Monday here, and we will also tell you about a very powerful earthquake in Greece that caused injuries and widespread damage.
Ever notice how most shrimp dinners skimp?
This week, Stater Brothers has real values on extra fancy red delicious apples, only 29 cents a pound. Our own ground beef.
The people are homeless in western Greece today after an earthquake measuring 6 on the Richter scale hit the port town of Kalina. That's about 130 miles west of Athens. Government officials say at least 25 people were injured as buildings collapsed and landslides ripped down mountain slopes. The quake damaged about 80% of the houses in that town and a similar number in 2 nearby villages.
Meantime, here at home, it has indeed been a hot day throughout most of the Southland today. In fact, the mercury reached a high of 91 degrees in downtown Los Angeles, and that's about 12 degrees higher than normal for this date. Tomorrow, the weather's going to stay pretty much the same, with mostly clear skies, light winds. Lows are going to be in the lower 60s and highs in the 80s and 90s. It should also reach 91 degrees tomorrow at the Los Angeles Civic Center, 78 degrees in Ventura and Santa Barbara, 97 degrees in Orange County, or I make that 87 degrees, 79 degrees in San Diego, and 69 degrees at Southland beaches. Inland, it is also going to be very warm, with mid-90s in the San Fernando Valley, 98 degrees in the San Gabriel Valley and Riverside, 92 in the upper deserts, 100 in the lower deserts, and 74 degrees at the mountain resorts.
Okay, we mentioned last night the lotto numbers. Well, we find out now that nobody picked all 6 numbers in last night's $5.5 million Lotto 649 game. So the jackpot now is expected to roll over to about $11 million by Wednesday. However, 5 people did pick 5 numbers and the bonus number to win about $300,000 each. 2 of the lucky winners are from the Los Angeles area.
Okay, sports coming up next, and Rick Lozano is going to have a special tribute to Dodger hero Kirk Gibson. Also, a long-lost Raider returns to lead his team to victory.
Hi, Larry Huffman for your California Jeep Eagle dealers. We're all dressed up for the great clearance of '88. 1988 broke all records for
Light Music Station. One after another. After another. K-Light 100 FM plays light music, only your favorites, the great songs. K-Light 100 FM, light music, special memories, the light in the middle of your dial, K-Light 100 FM.
I always knew there was intelligent life out there.
Ever notice how most...
Tonight, the Bulldog is going to try to make it 2 for the Dodgers.
You bet. And you know, the A's come in here, and there's all this talk about how much power this club has. Right. The Dodgers out-homered them last night, and they have another one so far. The news is good. We'll tell you more about the score in just a minute. The Dodgers are going to try to ride that big wave stirred up by Gibson's game-winning home run last night. Game 2 underway out at the stadium. Hershiser going against Storm Davis. But the talk of the sports world today, unquestionably, was Gibson's dramatics in the bottom of the 9th last night. A scene already replayed hundreds of times across the country. Indeed, it was like something right out of a Hollywood movie. Like peas in a pod, Gibson and Hobbs. Some kind of moment for Kirk Gibson and the Dodgers. Game 2 is underway right now. The Dodgers out to a whopping 5-0 lead. They are in the 3rd. They've scored 5 times in the 3rd, including a 3-run blast from Mike Marshall. All right. Let's move on. Week 7 of the NFL season, and down in Anaheim, the Rams looking to stay on top in the NFC West. A job easier said than done, especially when those Niners are in town. We'll pick it up. No score first quarter, but here we go. Joe Montana with a give to Roger Craig, and you won't see many runs like this. Roger Dodger going through Ram tackles like he's playing against a Pop Warner team. 48 yards. Niners take a 7-0 lead there. Rams ball to 5-2.
And today, the 49ers played a near-perfect ball game. They didn't make mistakes, and we made mistakes. And usually, when that happens, you lose.
We couldn't handle Roger Craig. He dominated the field. I thought that the combination of Roger Craig and our errors was too much.
All right, now the Raiders were in Kansas City, but they had to go there without Howie Long, without Todd Christensen, and without Stacy Turan, all out with injuries. But they had this guy, Big Bad Bo, back wearing the silver and black. Raiders get on the board early, and it's their other Heisman running back, Marcus Allen, in from a yard out. Close call, but they ruled he was in. 7-zip Raiders. They don't waste time doing it again. Now it's Bo time. Straight up the gut, down to the 1. That sets up another score to make it 14-0. The defense had a shutout going until right here. Steve DeBerg to Paul Palmer, and this one is nonstop all the way to the end zone. 52 yards, and it's 14-7 at the half. Move to the fourth quarter now, and the Raiders change quarterbacks. Burline in there in place of Schrader, finds Trey Junkin, 4 yards for the touch. L.A. leads it 20-10, and then late in the game, Bo, who carried 21 times for 70-yard, rats up his first game back with a 1-yarder. Good for the final Raiders six-pack, 27-17. The Raiders now 3-4 on the year. Now, there are no more unbeaten teams in the NFL. The Patriots took care of that up at Sullivan Stadium today. A big upset. Reggie Depard does the heavy damage for the Pats. 2 second-half touchdowns. New England hands the Bengals their first loss, 27-21. At Soldier Field, the Bears go the dipsy-do route against the Cowboys here as McKinnon gets it on the reverse. Dennis goes in, standing up 17-7, the final over the Pokes. In the meantime, the Super Bowl champions, the Redskins, continue to click under new quarterback Mark Rippon. 4 TD tosses, including the 60-yarder to Gary Clark here. Skins knock off the surprising Phoenix Cardinals, 33-17. And at the Kingdome this afternoon, field goal try by Norm Johnson. Whoa! Going the other way now. The Saints' Dave Waymer picks it up, and off he goes. 58 yards. New Orleans needed that one, and edging the Seahawks 20-19. All right, we'll get you caught up on the rest of this 7th Sunday in the NFL. The Giants score on their first 4 possessions. They get the easy win over Detroit. Max Zendejas with 4 field goals as Green Bay routs Minnesota. Cleveland beats Philadelphia 19-3. Indianapolis gets the win over the Buccaneers. The Oilers now 5-2. They rout Pittsburgh. Miami 31-28 over the Chargers. Elway was injured. It's a knee problem, but Denver still gets the win 30-14 over Atlanta. Buffalo and the New York Jets coming up on Monday Night Football. Finally, a couple of auto races at opposite ends of the country today. Up at Laguna Seca, Danny Sullivan and the Penske Ford team dominated today's Champion 300 Indycar race. With a victory, Sullivan takes the points title as well. Michael Andretti finished second. In North Carolina, Rusty Wallace holds off Benny Parsons and Jeff Bodine to win the Holly Farms 400. Rusty capitalized on 2 caution flags late in the race and winning his 2nd straight NASCAR event. Bodine 2nd and Parsons was 3rd. That's going to take care of sports for now. Jim Hill with Sports Scene tonight, and he'll have all the Dodger highlights for you then. That's it.
Good job. Lots of things happening.
Oh, everything's happening.
All right. Thank you, partner. That's going to wrap it up for the early report of Eyewitness News. Joanne and yours truly back at 11. We hope you will be too. We'll update those brush fires burning around the Southland. Plus, we'll have the World Series highlights for you. Good night, all.